Guys, so today we're going to be doing our lesson on fractions when we are multiplying and dividing fractions. So I'd like you to copy down that title. The next thing we're going to do are some examples. So to start off, we're going to do multiplying fractions. So there's a couple little rules here, or little steps that I wrote down on the side for you to follow. This would be good to jot down in your notes. So when you're multiplying fractions, really what you're doing is multiplying straight across. So multiplying your numerator by numerator, multiplying your denominator by denominator, you're going to get a fraction. Then I'd like you to reduce that to the lowest terms. So that's what we're going to be doing here. So the first thing we're going to do is multiply our negative 10 by our 4. And with that, we get negative 40. The next thing we're going to multiply is our 12 by our 10. And here we're going to get 120. Sorry for it being messy. The next thing we're going to do is say, okay, well, what can negative 40 be divided by, be divisible by, that 120 can also be divisible by? So you're going to have to think about your times tables here and how you can reduce this to the lowest terms. Well, both of them, once you've thought about it for a while, can be divisible by 40. Negative 40 divided by 40, so anything divided by itself gives you 1. Negative and a positive give you a negative, so we're going to get negative 1. 120 divided by 40 gives us 3. They're both positive, so it's okay. So I'm going to write my division here, divided by 40. Gives us 3. So our final answer here is negative 1/3. So that's our final answer there. That's the reduced to its lowest terms. You know it's reduced when it's to its lowest terms when you can't divide the numerator and the denominator by the same number any further. So here, our negative is out front. What I'd like you to do is apply that negative to your numerator here. So this negative is going to go with our numerator there. So now we're going to be multiplying negative 2 multiplied by 11. When we multiply negative 2 by 11, you're going to get negative 22. The next thing I'd like you to do is multiply 12 by 12. You've already used this negative once with your numerator, so you're not going to use it for your denominator. So when we multiply 12 by 12, we get 144. Now you're going to reduce this. So you have to think about what is negative 22, or just the number 22, divisible by, that 144 is also divisible by. Well, you can think of 22 to reduce it. You can reduce it a few different ways. One way that you can reduce this is dividing by 2. So I'm going to change my color. If we divide our numerator, and our denominator by 2, negative 22 divided by 2 gives us negative 11. And then 144 divided by 2 is going to give us 72. You can't reduce this any further, so that is your final answer. Our next problem we're going to do is we're going to multiply negative 4 over 5 by negative 2 over 4. With multiplying, you're going to multiply your numerators first. Negative 4 times negative 2. 2 negatives make a positive. You're going to get 8. Multiply 5 by 4. You're going to get 20. Now you have to reduce. Well, you're going to think of what is 8 divisible by that 20 is also divisible by. Well, here you can divide by 4. You're going to divide your numerator by 4 and your denominator also by 4. And we're going to write it once here. 8 divided by 4 gives us 2. 20 divided by 4 gives us 5. So now we're going to move to dividing fractions. So here, dividing fractions, I wrote a couple little steps or rules on the side there. What you're going to do first is flip the second fraction. So I'll show you what we're going to do there. So flip the second fraction. So when it's 7 over 10, you're going to put 10 over 7. The next thing you're going to do is write your fraction that you previously had, the first fraction that is there, 4/5. Now this looks exactly the same as what we were doing before. So we flipped our fraction. You're going to notice something's different here already though. What you're going to have to do on your own is change the symbol. So that's this part here where you're changing the symbol from division to multiplication. So dividing fractions rules. Flip the first fraction, change the symbol to multiplication. Now you're going to multiply straight across. So we're going to multiply 4 by 10. We get 40. Then you're going to multiply 5 by 7. You get 35. So here you're going to say, well, first of all, this can be reduced. You know this can be reduced here. If I divide both of these here by 5, we're going to say it's divisible by 5. Our numerator and our denominator are divisible by 5. They have to be divisible by the same number for it to work. Ooh, that 5 is really big. Let me get rid of that. So 40 divided by 5 gives us 8. 35 divided by 5 gives us 7. Here, we could leave it like this. I want to show you one more thing, is you can make this into a mixed number. Right now it's an improper fraction because our numerator is larger than our denominator. To make it into our mixed fraction, mixed number here, we're going to say, how many times can 7 go into 8? Well, it can only go into 8 once. We know that 7 can only go into 8 once. If you take 7 once, you're left with 1. So think of 8 minus 7 gives us 1. So our mini fraction on the side is going to be 1 over 7. You keep the denominator. So now we're going to move to the next problem. We're going to do 8 over 9 divided by 2 over 5. Flip the second fraction. So we're going to write 5 over 2. Change the symbol. I've already done it for you, so we change the symbol to multiplication. Rewrite your first fraction down. You can do the step first of rewriting your first fraction if you want and then apply the steps. That's okay. So now we're going to multiply 8 by 5. When we multiply 8 by 5, we get 40. So we have 40 as our numerator. When we multiply 9 by 2, we get 18. From here, you have to figure out what 40 and 18 are both divisible by. So we can divide these numbers by 2. That's going to give us, if we divide both of them by 2, our numerator and our denominator by 2, 40 divided by 2 gives us 20. 18 divided by 2 gives us 9. Now we're going to say, how many times can 9 go into 20? 9 goes into 20, well you can say 2 times because 9 times 2 gives us 18. So we're going to write the number 2 as our large number. What we have left over is when we say 9 times 2 gives us 18, we're going to do 20 minus 18 gives us 2. So we have 2/9 left over. Remember, we write the denominator as the same number. So here our last one, we're going to say negative 4 over 5, negative 4 over 5. What we do is flip the second fraction, so we're going to have 4 over negative 2. If you want, you can keep the numerator above, or so the negative sign above with your numerator. That is fine because you'll see what they do anyways in the end. Change your symbol, multiply straight across. 4 times 4 gives us 16. One thing we're missing is negative times by a positive. Negative multiplied by a positive gives us a negative. Next thing we're going to look at is we have 5 multiplied by 2. We get a 10. Negative and a positive give us a negative. Well, what do 2 negatives make? 2 negatives make a positive. So you know your next answer is going to be positive. So it's going to be 16 over 10. What is 16 and 10 both divisible by? Well, you know 16 and 10 are both divisible by 2. So we can say 16 divided by 2 here gives us 8. 10 divided by 2 here gives us 5. And remember, those negatives get canceled because a negative divided by a negative gives us a positive. Now let's write it as a mixed number, mixed fraction here. We're going to say 5 can go into 8 one time. And we have 8 minus 5 gives us 3. So we have 3 over 5. All right, I'll see you in class.